Okay, now we are going to see game 2 and game 3 of a match played by Fischer in 1977 against MackHack by the MIT. The game 2 and 3 are in this appendix B, okay? The second game is Robert Fischer against MackHack. So Robert Fischer plays e4. Notice that Fischer is not scared like most grandmasters. For example, Nepomniachtchi has out for a repertoire with f4, that is the King's Gambit, but in the World Championship he never played it, like if he was scared. It doesn't make any sense, right? Instead, Fischer is not scared to play the King's Gambit. He takes f4, bishop c4, d5, bishop takes d5, knight f6, knight c3, bishop b4, knight f3, castle, and castle. And the knight takes d5. Again, the computer overestimates the value of a pair of bishop. In human games, this move has not been repeated. It seems they have played a kind of bishop takes c3. Let's see. It's a game that comes from Fischer. That's interesting. Let's see. So it seems it was played bishop takes c3, d takes c3, c6, another dubious move, bishop c4, queen b6, king h1, knight takes e4, obviously the threat is here, queen e1, rook e8, a mistake, and here Fischer could have played this one and it's a win, but he played bishop takes f4. Knight d6, a mistake, bishop takes d6, very interesting, rook takes e1, rook takes takes e1, bishop d7, knight g5, knight a6, and rook takes f7. And here it seems Fischer won at this point. Okay. It was part of Fischer-Neumann Cicero simultaneous exhibition from 1964. Now let's return back to the position from which we started this line. Okay, so we were in this position, black took with the knight in d5, and this is a dubious move. Again, probably Carsten Müller, that is the annotator of this game, says the computer gives too much value to the bishop pair. But honestly, I have played against Chess Genius, that is a program from 1986, 1987, on a dedicated machine that I don't know if it was spearheaded by Karpov as an advertisement a few years ago. So probably they also have improved it, I don't know. But the point is, every time I noticed that the computer wanted to keep the bishop pair, and it destroyed me with that bishop pair. So I don't know. Knight takes d5. And bishop d6 is a mistake. It was better to play f5, it seems, and here there is a line, okay? So bishop d6, d4, g5. This runs into an amazing refutation, but black has big problems in any case, due to white's strong center. Can you imagine what white played in this moment? Try to pause the video. Take white's seat and say, what would you play if you were in Fischer's shoes? What would you play? Huh? Boom! Knight takes g5. Amazing. Queen takes g5. e5, bishop h3, rook f2, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, c6 is a dubious move, bishop takes f4, queen g7, knight f6, king h8, queen h5, rook d8, and here there is queen takes h3. Clearly black's position is going into pieces. Let's see what else happened. Knight a6, he tries to develop a little too late. Rook f3, queen g6, rook c1, king g7, rook g3, rook h8, and here there is a checkmate. Can you see the checkmate in this position? I mean, this is 21 moves. Fischer killed this machine in 21 moves. Queen h6, checkmate. And now let's see the other game, the last game of the match. Okay, this is the last game of the match. MackHack is white and Fischer is black. Okay, e4, c5, knight f3, g6, d4, bishop g7, knight c3, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c6, bishop e3, knight f6, knight takes c6, b takes c6, e5, knight g8, f4, f6, e takes f6, and the knight takes f6. So we have a kind of a big difference with the previous game, right? And now white, the computer plays bishop c4. This just wastes valuable time, as the resulting black backward e-pawn is not as important as the dynamics. The best move was bishop e2, not bishop c4. But again, how would you know? Because honestly, it makes sense, right? You are preventing him from kind of castling, so maybe that's the reason, right? But obviously the problem is this, d5, which was played in the game. And so bishop e2, you are wasting your tempo. It would have been better just to play bishop d2 and not make him gain a tempo which opens the diagonal, right? That's the real problem here, I think. Rook b8, b3, it's another mistake. White does not have time for this. It seems bishop d4 was the move to play. It makes sense because now the diagonal is free, and this is a target from that sniper. Okay, knight g4, attacking this, bishop d4, and e5. Beautiful move, wow. But it seems it was also interesting to play this. Huh? F takes e5, and Fischer plays castle, which seems it's a dubious move. It was better to play queen h4. And after g3, queen h3, bishop f1, queen h5. Because it says this applies more pressure. Okay, if you say it, but it doesn't make much sense. But okay, let's see what happens. Bishop take g4, obviously you cannot retake, otherwise you have lost. Queen take queen h4, g3, queen take g4, queen take g4, and bishop take g4. So this is the problem. Now that they are going into an endgame, you must win. But this is the thing that we know about Fischer, that he was practically the nightmare of the Russians and the Soviets in general. Botvinnik said you cannot give him the minimum advantage because he will convert it into a win. So that's what scared them very, very much. The game continues with rook f1. The computer and the material want to exchange pieces and most likely miss the strong dynamic blow. c5. Okay, so it seems this was the blow, c5. But it's c5 in the 20th move, not now, because now is the tack, tack, and now c5. This is the move that the computer missed, it seems. Okay, so why the computer missed this move? Because in reality it's a line that is like 5 or 6 moves long, so in that time it's possible that the computer didn't calculate that far. But let's see this line, because that is the justification for that move, and so I think it's very important. Okay, so let's see here what was the problem. In the game he played bishop f2, but let's see what happens after bishop takes c5. Bishop takes e5, rook d1, bishop takes e3, rook takes d5, rook e8, bishop takes a7, rook e1, king g2, rook e2, king g1, and bishop h3. And this is practically game over, because white will be able to probably give a checkmate. Yep. Okay, so let's see. Let's return back to the position in the game. So I went back to the position in the diagram where white played rook f1, rook takes f1, king takes f1, and here there is the blow c5, bishop f2, and now bishop takes e5, bishop e1, rook f8, king g2, rook f3, obviously the problem is here, h3, rook takes c3, bishop takes c3, bishop takes c3, rook f1, and bishop f5. And now he thought to be in advantage, but a rook against two bishops surely cannot win. Rook f2, h5, so rook e2, king f7, rook e3, bishop d4, rook f3, king e6, c3, bishop e5, rook e3, d4, c take, rook e1, d3, h4, d2, rook d1, bishop c3, king f2, bishop g4, rook h1, bishop d4, check, king g2, and king d5, a3, king e4. Look at that, Fischer is deadly. Rook f1, king d3, king h2, king e2, king g2, bishop h3 is a killer. I think the machine got shocked after this game. I mean, he's a killer. You can see it. It's unbeatable. And D1 queen. Oh my god. King H2, Queen E2. Maybe the machine thought that she was playing against another machine. King H3 and Queen G2, G2 checkmate, and this is the end. I'm sure MackHack and the MIT had a shock after this game.